All right. Show you how to do this, son. Coming live. That's a reference only me, Josh, and Drew are gonna get. But yeah, we back at it. Another week, another Thursday night, back running with WARR, doing a 3-man weave this week. Chris is indisposed for the evening, so hopefully we'll have him back next week. But I'm back this week after taking a week off, which I'm gonna do that every now and then. But I do that mainly because I can trust that the show will be done well without me, and it was. So that was a good show last week, fellas. I appreciate y'all holding it down. Big shout to Sean Davis, who came through, big homie. And yeah, we just keeping it moving, man. Another week. A lot of ball that's going on, a lot of good stuff out there. I'm a little pissed off, man, because I had a nice 7-pick parlay that was going on, man, and Iowa just screwed me. Because they didn't want to keep up with Michigan in the second half. So I ain't gonna say how much money I lost, because then I'm gonna really just go off. But y'all got to watch these betting sites, man. I don't know how much y'all been getting into. I don't know if y'all been getting into that, but these betting sites will mess you up, man. Because you be like, you could get a nice, you could set up a nice little parlay with just a few dollars, and you think you're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna have a come up here. I got some good picks set up. Then there's always one team or one player want to do something off the wall, and it's like, that's not how it go, man. You messing up my money, man. But I don't know. That's for my degenerates out there, man. I'm gonna try to get someone on soon to try to hip us to this betting life, because it's ups and downs with it, but you just got to learn how to play it. You just don't want to be out there at the OTB, digging in your pockets and, betting your child's college money and stuff like that. You don't want to be playing yourself, So we gonna let y'all, we gonna educate y'all a little bit on that side on some future shows. But I'm good though, because I don't have that much money to lose. So like I said, I just had I put $6 down. And like I said, I'm not gonna say how much I was gonna lose, but all I put down was $6. But I had the parlay set up good, but Iowa was lame, man. Iowa was real lame, man. That's what I say. Don't mess with Iowa. Don't even. If you gotta do anything with Iowa, just drive past them. I-80. Just go past. There's nothing worth going in that state, in that whole state. Don't do nothing. Anyway, how you been, fellas? How you been doing?
Pretty good, man. Enjoying Zach LaVine's coronation as an Eastern Conference All-Star. It was sure enough campaigning, man. Good Lord, man. You couldn't flip on Twitter or nothing without seeing post after post after post about getting this man in the All-Star game. I was a little worried.
That's how it is nowadays. It's almost like vote for president or something now. Like you got a campaign now, and that stuff mean a lot. Like we gonna talk about Zach in a minute. Like that stuff can mean a lot, when it comes to money and everything. So that's why the brothers are trying to make sure that they get to that level, because it makes a difference,
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think at one point in time, Chris actually had a column where we talked about campaign pain.
Oh, well, Pennant, yeah, it was campaign and champagne and campaign.
Hey,
that's what he.
It's amazing how far we come from that moment.
Yeah, that was a particularly bleak moment because we was hoping on, anytime we was hoping on campaign to, to be a bright spot. That's when you had a dark spot with your franchise, And what happened? And look what happened to him too. Like, remember in the bubble when he started snapping off a little bit, and we was like, oh man, where was this dude? And of course, they get back to playing outside the bubble, and he wants to. I ain't heard from him since. Have y'all?
Nah, I ain't heard his name brought back up, man.
So I did.
I don't forgot who he plays. To be honest, I forgot who he plays for.
I don't know if he still does. If he still, because he was playing for the Suns. I don't know if he's still playing for them.
He's still down there enjoying that West Coast with CP3,
Okay, well, see, that's the thing, and we gonna talk about CP3 and the whole dynamic with him, and that's nothing we're gonna talk about the whole dynamic with him and Booker. But I guess CP3 is maybe took minutes out of Payne's hands, with him being there. So that would make sense. But you got to do something. If you're supposed to be, you're not going to start over CP3, so you might as well be a backup and do your thing that way. But I don't know. But I'm just glad that the Bulls don't have to rely on cats like campaign anymore. So that's pretty much what that comes down to. But anyway, before we gonna start off proper with the All-Star talk and Zach. But one thing I want to start doing with the show is something I'm gonna call tip-offs. And I told y'all, I'm just telling y'all this now. I didn't tell y'all this before the show, so I don't expect y'all to have any this week. But like each week, I was kind of thinking, y'all can come with one, because I tell, letting y'all in on, watching, I give the guys the subjects before the show, the main subjects before the show each week. But I was thinking, like, beyond those main subjects, if y'all could come with like one other thing, like a smaller story or something that is maybe developed, that maybe got on y'all radar throughout the week, and then you can, just have a quick thing about that and quick take about that or whatever. So, like I said, because I didn't tell y'all ahead of time this week, y'all don't have to have any. But if you think of something while I'm talking, feel free to jump in. But two things I'm gonna jump with. I'm gonna tip off with this week. One is going back to the college game, screw Iowa again. But another Big Ten team that I won't ever say screw to the U of I. Like I've said before, I got love for U of I, and they've been great this year. But a tough thing that happened to them this week is Ayo Dosunmu apparently took a shot in the Michigan State game, which they took a L in that one, which was pretty rough already. But it added injury to insult, and Ayo apparently broke his nose in that game. So there's a chance he'll be coming back at some point soon. But with the mask on, like the Kobe, Ray Allen type. A couple players have done Hamilton done it. I think Ray Allen has too, but I know famously Kobe's done it. Richard Hamilton has done it, like playing with masks and stuff. So that's something that Ayo may have to do in the tournament. But he's been out. He's out indefinitely though. He was out tonight in the game that they played against Nebraska. They actually won though, pretty convincingly. Nebraska's not very good, but it'll be a time for Illinois to show their depth, and a team. They got some good guards behind him. I know you guys talked a bit with Sean about that last week about mostly Ayo, but they also have Adam Miller, another Morgan Park product who was had started pretty strong as a freshman this year, but sort of fell back a little bit in conference play. But I think this will be a good chance for him to step up again. Leading into they still got a big game with Michigan, who was the Michigan beat Iowa tonight, and they really showed their bona fides tonight. Michigan maybe as good a team as there is in the country right now. And they're definitely by record the best team in the Big Ten right now. Michigan is. So Illinois still got a game with them before the regular season ends, and then they got the Big Ten tournament. So you got they're fighting for those that seeding in the tournament. And it's looking like they probably not going to get any higher than the 2 seed, especially with the loss that they had to Michigan State this week. But they still can get that 2 seed, and if they could show themselves without Io, for a few games, that could be a nice way to boost up their spirits as a whole, and like I say, boost up that bench and that some of those reserves and stuff. Without your top player, if you can win without him, we know how that effect can be on the team. But that's one thing I want. That's my main tip off. And another one I want to go into that is not as encouraging is the I'm gonna call it the Ballad of Malik Beasley. He's been suspended. Let me get into this report from The Athletic. He's been suspended. Oh, there's another thing I want to get into. But he's, I think, 12 games. And 12 games by the NBA for some violence charges of violence. And I guess issues with women or whatever. And he's been, that's been one of the main things that he's been getting, getting headlines for in recent times. Stuff with his wife, and him being involved with Larsa Pippen, and it's really unfortunate to see because the guy has been playing. He's been playing some good ball this year. I heard he was. I'm not doing much watching of Minnesota, but I heard he was playing well, and I see in this athletic report, he's averaging 20.5 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 2.5 assists a game in 33 games. Shooting 40% from three, and that's pretty good for him. He's a young player who, at Denver, it looked like he was going to show some promise. People want to see him emerge. He's in a position with a team where he can get, like I say, emerge and get some points and develop himself. But he's getting into all this foolishness off the court. So hopefully this will be a situation where he can slow down and get his mind right. Because you don't want to ruin your career off Larsa Pippen. You know what I mean? Or any other female that's out here, that you can't get along with. Definitely if you're hitting women, period, you're not getting love anyway out here. But just get your mind right, because you got too much talent to be like I say, doing all this stuff, man. But my last tip off I'm gonna offer this week. I'm only gonna do one a week. But like I say, I'm doing multiple ones here for this first session. Another report from The Athletic. Adam Silver apologizes for comments about Raptors president Masai Ujiri in 2019. And this came out about a half hour ago. Adam Silver apologized for a 2019 interview in which he commented on the incident from the NBA Finals where the Raptors president Masai Ujiri got into it with an Alameda, California County sheriff's deputy. And he said, did an interview with Brian Gumbel on Real Sports on HBO, apparently, and he said that, he's quoted as saying that Ujiri is living on the edge a bit and is hardwired to sort of march forward with incredible energy. He was sort of being like, paternal with Ujiri and sort of saying that he's gonna need to learn a lesson. He didn't want to assign culpability, quote, or blame to anyone. But as a leader, those are the kinds of situations he needs to learn to avoid. So he's being, a bit paternal and patronizing to Ujiri. And we've learned, I guess he said those quotes before we learned the whole story there, and that video came out where it was quite obvious that Ujiri was done wrong in that situation. And now, like I say, now that we know the whole story, Adam Silver has apologized for that particular quote, and with good reason. Looking at it, and I guess on one hand, it's a thing that you can give Silver credit for. He's a thoughtful person, a thoughtful enough person to switch up his stance with something like this. And if he knows that he said or did something wrong, he's willing to back off from a certain stance. Take that in comparison to a David Stern. You may have had more of a harder time getting him to, admit in public that he was wrong, or, even apologizing in any sort of way like this. But, it's again a lesson that should be learned for Silver and for people in his position. Whereas, especially when you're dealing with black people in the police, situations with black people in the police, fall back really and don't, unless you were directly involved in a situation and you can speak to it directly, don't really speak on it unless you got all the facts. And that's a lesson that I think anybody should learn when it comes to it. Looking at situations with black people in the police are involved. So that's sort of life in 2019. I think a lot more people learned that in the past year or so. It's good that I think Adam Silver has learned that now, and it's good that he can lead as a leader of the NBA. Go forward with that sort of increased awareness of his thinking. But you guys got any thoughts on any of those topics or anything else?
No, you hit them all. You pretty much hit the nail in the coffin when it comes to all those topics you talk about. But there is one other topic that I saw today that I would like to just briefly.
You got a tip off? Go ahead. Yeah,
I got a little bit of a tip off here and there, man. It's about Zlatan, the soccer player. I can't even pronounce his last name because it's super duper long. But he was talking about how about athletes and politics. He said athletes should stay out of politics. And he mentioned LeBron James and the work that he's doing.
Okay.
He said LeBron James is phenomenal at what he's doing, but I don't like it when people with some kind of status and they do politics at the same time as what they're doing. I mean, do what you're good at. That is the first mistake people do when they become famous and become a certain status. Stay out of it. Just do what you're best at because it doesn't look good. My response is that's a personal decision. At the end of the day, you're not, even though we as a community, especially an African-American community, when we have role models like LeBron James that are willing to take up the mantle and in a way be a voice for the voiceless, that carries a lot of weight for us and carries on the narrative and the narratives that come along with the discussions that take place when it comes to social justice. That's part of LeBron's DNA. So before you make a statement like that, you should first of all understand what's going on within society. Number two, that's a personal decision. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. That's your choice. Not everybody's built for that type of responsibility or built for that type of platform. We as people shouldn't look for athletes to, or at least especially every big time athlete to take the mantle per se, but we should hold responsible the ones that are willing to do it and are willing to speak out on politics and hold them accountable just like we hold ourselves accountable. But that doesn't mean that as someone that doesn't want to take up that mantle, you have every right to chastise or criticize someone that willingly wants to take on that role. If you don't want to take on that role, as the Fox reporter will say, shut up and dribble. Shut up and just play your sport. Right. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. Don't criticize someone else for trying to make a difference in their communities and you sit on the backseat. Like, that's none of your business at the end of the day. You can just continue to do what you're doing. You stick to your sports, you make your money, and keep it moving. Don't criticize other people that are willing to take on that mantle, especially top-tier athletes that have really put an imprint in their communities, like a LeBron James, and in past years, like Muhammad Ali, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, in things of that sort. You don't generalize a decision or a mindset just because you personally do not want to take on that type of mantle when quite frankly, that's a personal choice. And at the same time, you know, if it has nothing to do with you, then don't go for it. That's just my thing. I have no problem for people or athletes that don't want to take on that mental, because that is a very, very heavy responsibility to take and to be willing to take on. But at the end of the day, if you're not about it, don't criticize other people for doing it, because that's their choice, that's their personal beliefs, that's their personal opinion. If it doesn't affect you or your bottom dollar, you stick to what you're good at, which is, in this case, he's good at soccer. You stick to that and let everybody else play, and let everybody else play their sport and play their other roles when it comes to making a change and difference within the communities.
I didn't catch the name when you said it, but I thought you said Zlatan, and I think Ibrahimovic, I think is that's how I guessed at the last name. But I think with this guy, you know, for one, he's a bit of a loudmouth anyway. So, you know, I could see him just spouting out this. I don't know what gave him reason to go at LeBron or anybody else in this fashion, but you know, he's a guy who he talks a lot in general. And you know, I know when he was over here in the States playing for the LA Galaxy, you know, he was all about self-promotion and you know, just, you know, he was supposed to be changing the game of soccer over here in America, and you know, besides a couple of highlights, he didn't do much to change the game. You know, he was, you know, he just came and went, you know, but so I think some guys, by their actions and their results, they discredit themselves when it comes to quotes of this nature, opinions of this nature. You know, I really don't give a damn much about what he thinks about anything, because he hasn't offered his opinions. He doesn't come, like you said, Josh, from a position of knowing what the what the politics are here in America, what the racial politics are, what the standards are in regards to what the historical standards have been in regards to athletes of color who have stood up and at least been vocal, if not been completely active in certain ways in regards to bettering racial tensions, you know, fighting against racial tensions in America. There's really a overall lost in translation sort of thing here, because he's a guy who he had a hard scrabble background himself. He's not a person who was born of privilege, but in Europe, when you find yourself as an elite soccer player, you do eventually become privileged. And you know, I would guess that he's lived at least half of his life from that point of, you know, I could just be a soccer player. I could rise above my station because I have these abilities on the field. And, you know, once I get mine, I don't really have to worry about nothing else. But that's not the type of thinking that most black athletes have here in America. You know, there's feelings of survivor's remorse. There's feelings of community and unity that, you know, are instilled in most athletes of color and black athletes in particular in America, that he just doesn't have any type of intelligence towards. He doesn't have any feelings towards it, you know, naturally. So he doesn't know what it means for LeBron James to come from where he comes from and to want to speak on the things that he speaks on, even as a wealthy man. So, you know, really what it comes down to is screw Zlatan, and he could go on about his business, and LeBron don't care about him, and I don't care about him either.
Very well said by you guys, man. We have one last tip off, I guess you could say. So Kyrie Irving, I don't normally agree with everything he says or the way he goes about doing things, but his statement that the NBA should change logos from Jerry West to Kobe Bryant.
Yeah,
I'm not mad at that idea. We've seen the initial tributes that were paid to him with the 8-second and 24-second shot clock violations. We saw certain things in the All-Star game last year, certain stipulations to kind of reflect his numbers. I think this could be an official recognition of him moving forward. Much love to Jerry West, but not a lot of the guys, that are playing. Maybe some of the guys that are playing now and moving forward, they're not going to have a checking point with him. Whereas Kobe is kind of like the new guy in terms of, not the new guy, but the guy that a lot of those players today have looked at. Some of it have even worked with. So I think that might be something that Adam Silver should take a little more of a look into and see what happens moving forward. I don't think it's going to happen just because it's been such an ingrained part of the NBA for Jerry West to be the logo that I think he'd be hard pressed to switch it. But it made me think nonetheless.
That's. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm on record as saying that they should change it to Kobe. Back last year around the time, closer to in the immediate time after he passed, I think I was talking to someone. I may have been talking to Roland Lazenby or somebody, or I may have said it on one of our shows. I don't know, but that was before. That been before you were on the show, Drew. But but yeah, I think they should do it, and I think Kyrie, of course, doing too much. He made into the black man is God stuff on his little post, but but I think it's more of what you said, Drew. Like there is a point where you have to think about the evolution of the game and who is sort of in control, though, for lack of a better phrase, of the game now, and who's going to be playing the game further, going further. And I think as we shouldn't lose our history. We definitely shouldn't lose perspective of Jerry West and what he provided to the game of basketball and what players of his era provided to the game. But we're gonna get to a point where that is like ancient history. You can already argue that's sort of ancient history, but we're gonna come to a point where Kobe is gonna be in a distant memory. And I think this is a good starting point, to a renewal point, I should say, where we can slide in Kobe, a person who has obviously made a deep impact on professional basketball, and the way that we lost him, it leaves such a hole in our collective psyche as basketball fans and media and everything. To be able to look at him, his body in the logo, his silhouette, I think would do a lot for the world of basketball in general going forward. And it'll be a nice way for him to carry a torch that we know he would be it would be humbling for him to carry the torch from Dr. Jerry West. Not say Dr. Jerry West. I'm thinking of Dr. Bus. Jerry West. I don't think Jerry West is a doctor. But anyway, but Jerry West. And I really do think that's something that could be advocated for. I think if enough people advocated for it, it's sort of a thing like where you have Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. Like if you have enough people, or the right people, advocate for it, it could happen. But I think at some point in the near future, let's rethink about let's give some thought about that. If anything, maybe it doesn't have to be Kobe. I think Kobe would be the most appropriate person, especially, like I say, given that he's no longer with us. But maybe some people will want it to be Mike, or maybe somebody will want it to be LeBron, or maybe somebody want to be Shaq or Magic. There's a number of guys. But maybe we should think about changing the logo to preferably a black man and a person who maybe represents the landscape of the league past the 80s or so, where the league really did become a greater force beyond what it was, at the time of Jerry West's heyday. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I completely agree.
Yeah. So, but like I said, just give it some thought. There's no reason not to. But yeah, that was a good one. So yeah, if we could do that at the start of every show, maybe that'd be cool going forward. Just looking at some other things that we may not necessarily have get to the show otherwise. But right now, we're gonna get to our main topics, and like I said, the first topic, probably the biggest and most positive topic that's going on in our circle right now, especially given that we're Chicagoans and we primarily focus on the Bulls and stuff, is Zach LaVine getting named to his first All-Star game. They came out with the reserve players this week, Tuesday, and he made it. It was looking good for him, in spite of the constant campaigning, as Drew mentioned. It was looking good for him, even beyond that, because he was getting good numbers of votes from the fans, and the players. There's a fan vote that's involved, a player vote, and a coach's vote, and he was ranked in the top 5, I believe, with all those votes. So it was hard. It'd been hard to keep him off the team. His numbers were right and everything, and we gonna talk about it with some of the alleged snubs. The East was real tough. As far as the individual players, there was a lot of guys who can been considered, and you look at a guy like especially with the game being in Atlanta. Trae Young was voted on as a starter last year. For our game here in Chicago, he doesn't even get to play in the game in his hometown this year. So it was tough, man. You had to get those votes, but Zach got his votes. He's got his recognition. There's been a thing where it's a sort of a common thing we see with these players on the fringes of the All-Star. I think Dame Lillard had to go through this process. Bradley Beal. We can name some others. Like there's a couple years where you're on the fringe, and you get you get some people. You get more and more people advocating for you each year. Then there's a year where it's like, there's a big argument for you because of your numbers and everything. But then, you just gotta just take the snub. It's a year where you're an obvious snub, and then you gotta take that L and move on. But in Bill's case, of course, he gets voted on this year, so he's a starter. But with Zach, he had a couple years where he wasn't sure just how welcome he was in this whole circle, but now he knows that he's valued now, and that's going to lead to some talk about his monetary value that we're gonna get into in a minute. But just starting off with the hearing about him actually making the team, and it's no injury. He's not covering any injury or anything. He's solidly on the team, and he's the first Bull since the 16-17 team to make it with Jimmy Butler, of course. What do y'all think overall about the news?
It's about time. I mean, I think that's pretty much what it boils down to. It was about time. He got snubbed last year. Kyle, I've been one of the people that was very vocal about that.
Yeah.
And the fact, I think this year really proved it, and I think not just because of his performances, because every year, especially since he's been a Chicago Bull, his numbers have improved in every area, to the point where this year he's having career high shooting over close to 43%. I want to say from the 3-point line, on top of the 28 that he's averaging, and 5 and 5. I mean, his numbers have improved every year, and from a career perspective. But I think the difference this year is the fact that we got a new coach. We have a new regime. We actually have a culture that's about winning. The Bulls are currently sitting 6th in the East right now, which is something that if you asked us over the summer, even with the new regime, we would have been like, that's not right. That can't be true, right? Because we didn't expect this much. We didn't expect this much improvement over time from that coaching staff, and we have. And part of it is due to obviously Billy Donovan, his coaching and the coaching staff, but also Zach LaVine willing to take on the mantle as the main leader of this team, and pretty much taking things in his own hands when necessary. We've seen different demographics of Zach LaVine's game improve, especially from a shooting perspective. But now we're watching like the Mamba effect of it. Him wanting to be the closer of the game. Him wanting to take things into his own hands when necessary. When to take over a game. Like he's learning those things now to where he's the go-to guy down the stretch. I talked to Craig Hodges last week on my podcast about this, and he told me, he said Zach LaVine has that Mamba mentality, like high Mamba mentality potential. And if you actually played him in a Ted Winters or Phil Jackson's triangle offense, he's the Kobe. He said he's the Kobe. He's going to be that go-to guy that he can get it off regardless. He can score whenever, and he will reel you to wins, which is what people look for in all-stars. So Zach LaVine's just is finally living up to the name that I believe he could have had, especially when we first traded for him. We just didn't have the right guidance and the right, regime and direction to take his game to that next level. But the fact that he's doing that now, I can't be nothing but happy for the guy. And, it's something that he's well deserved of.
It was foolish to think that he had reached his plateau as a player, especially when you say, Josh, he was being coached the way he was being coached in his first couple of years. It didn't make sense. Like a lot of people just saw him and thought that he had nothing more to offer, and that's really, it's another unfortunate commentary on how general general storylines can get saddled on the NBA players, and people just don't do the knowledge as well as they should, especially on a national level when you talk about players from the Bulls. But like you said, it's Donovan and his whole staff and the whole redoing of this team from a leadership standpoint has made a difference. He in his whole career, the best team that Zach has played on was a 31-51 team, and he only played about he didn't play more than 50 games in that season. That was a season where he got injured, his ACL, and he got traded in the offseason, came to Chicago. But that was the best team that he played on, because the Bulls couldn't offer anything better than that with their coaches that they had prior to this year. Now, like you say, Josh, they're a playoff team for the moment. They're going to win at least 31 games in this shortened season, and they're knock on wood. I mean, they got 16 now. They better. We'll talk about the second half schedule later, but they better win at least 31, man. But they're like I said, they're a playoff team, and he is the guy. He's the Mamba guy. He's the go-to guy, the clutch guy. He's had enough instances where he showed his ability to score important baskets, and he's not just a hollow numbers guy. He's improved his defense. He's improved in every way. So it's really nothing that you can really there's no holes in this game right now. And if you see any, you just hating right now. Because I don't see it and nobody else really sees it. So yeah, he's a definite all-star right now. And the Bulls, and more than that, the Bulls have proven themselves as a franchise to be worth having an all-star. So that's just as important as what Zach has done individually to make himself into an all-star.
Absolutely. Happy for this guy, man. Works extremely hard. It's remarkable, not just that he's scoring the way he's scoring, but to be so efficient and to really be the only guy on the team that defenses really have to pay attention to is still be able to put the ball in the hole above 50% from the field, above 40% from beyond the arc, slightly above 85% from the free throw line, like on a nightly basis. And he's still not necessarily getting the calls that you would expect a team's best player to get. So just happy for this man. He's almost like Jimmy Butler, but he's got the dog on the offensive side rather than, Jimmy being that guy defensively with an offensive game to boot. And I really want to see where this team goes in the future. Hopefully they hold on to him. I know we may get into that a little bit later, but I think that his label as a empty calorie scorer, that needs nobody ever needs to say that again. I think it's proven even with this season that when you put him on the court with a group of veterans, this dude is a different player than when you pair him next to guys his age or younger. It's just a big difference, man. He's got to be able to play with some experienced guys, and I think that's even more reason for AK to keep him on the team and look to add some veteran spots, some veteran guys to the mix.
Shout out to Thajic Johnson.
Thajic.
They put the name official on Basketball Reference. Y'all see that? The nickname is on there now. Stacey King is I tell you, he's an influencer, man. Stacey King.
Oracle, man. I was gonna say, what I like even more than him, finally getting his nod is I think he told the press, this is just a stepping stone. This dude wants to be all NBA. He wants to be all defensive team. Can you imagine that? A guy that was seen as a Olay defender wants to be on an all defensive team. Like I love his mentality. Like what both you guys said, he's got that Kobe Mamba mentality to him. So I think the sky is still the limit for this dude. He's still improving. We haven't seen his best yet.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you're a product of your environment, right? So because once the Bulls change through a winning cultural environment, your environment is eventually going to change because your mentality is going to change. Your approach is going to change. He's learned this. I think that's why we have to give Billy Donovan and his new coaching staff, as well as his new front office, so much credit, because even the press conferences are different. You listening to Billy Donovan in a press conference, it's so relieving. he's actually giving constructive criticism, but still holding such a high standard for this team because he knows that he has to hold that standard to push these guys to grow. And that's something that the Bulls have lacked for so long. We've accepted mediocrity for so long that we forgot what it's like to want to push ourselves for betterment. And Billy Donovan and Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley and that whole new front office regime brought that to the city now. So, and you can tell it's trickling down to this team. Bulls are actually trying to learn from their mistakes. They're actually trying to learn and grow in tight game situations. Bulls are actually fun basketball to watch now just because of the changes that are there.
Definitely.
So, because of that, as much as Zach LaVine has put in the work that he's put into to obviously improve every year, we got to give Billy Donovan and this whole front office regime and the coaching staff that much more credit, because we might be in the same position, even worse, if we kept the old regime. This new change has truly embraced the mentality that Zach LaVine has, and in ways magnified it to where, you're gonna hear Zach LaVine say, "I want to be all NBA and all defensive player in this league." You're gonna have and surrounding him with guys like Thajic Johnson, as we just mentioned, Garrett Temple, very underrated but a very solid pickup for this team leadership wise. Finding the right roles with Thomas Satoransky as the backup point guard, like playing with like Drew said, playing with those veterans really helped elevate Zach's game, and you can tell this veteran group is what Zach LaVine needed alongside of him to help elevate his game to that next level, and it's paying off. And because of that, you got to give credit where it's due. So for sure, Zach LaVine, you get all the credit you deserve, man. You've had a fan since you entered the league, so therefore, always, give your flowers while you're still playing the game and doing great things. But at the same time, we got to give credit to this new regime. This new regime is starting to pay off a little bit, and you're starting to see the fruits of that labor.
And if the Bulls, if we look back in 10 years or so, and Bulls have, God willing, another championship under their belt, if they finally brought another championship to Chicago, or if they at the least have made the franchise into a championship contender consistently again, we got to look at this time, I would think, as that turning point. Though this would be, especially that this would be that origin point for a new era of prosperity for the Bulls, because like it was so barren leading up to this for the last couple of years, from between the time that Jimmy was traded and Derek was traded up until essentially the time that the April when Karnisovas was hired. There was nothing there. But in the time since, like, everything has been restructured with the front office. We got the coach out, got a real professional coach who gave us a real professional coaching staff. And even though the roster hasn't been redone drastically, enough has been done to put up this diamond in the rough player and make him into a real all-star and official all-star. He's come through. He's coming through with the leadership, and it'll be nice if he can stay here for the next Bulls coronation. But we'll see about that. There's going to be the Bulls have to be smart going forward now, and a lot of that's going to involve, not just what they bring around him. They got to bring some more around him, but they got to be smart with Zach, and that brings us to a little bit of smoke that's developed around this whole all-star story. Now that he's an all-star, he may want to get paid more like the typical all-stars getting paid in the league. He's getting paid $20 million a year now. He's on the books for $20 million for the rest of this year and next year. That's not quite all-star money in the NBA, as hard as it may be to believe. So, you got a couple of reports I want to cite here. Real GM from a couple of days ago, they make mention that Zach LaVine's extension would be $51 million less if this is an extension in the summer of 2021 than if he waited for a 2022 free agency. So 2022, if nothing else happens from here on, he would be an unrestricted free agent in the summer of 2022. And at that point, he could sign a 4-year, $155 million deal with any team in the league. But if he does an extension this summer, he would be limited to a 4-year, $104 million contract with the Bulls. And of course, it would be an extension with the Bulls. Nobody else would be competing with him. And you also with that being said, there's been a report. I'm citing first the Pippen Ain't Easy blog with FanSided, because they saw Joe Cowley report, and the writer Andrew Miller from FanSided, he sort of reads from stuff that isn't directly said. He sort of brings stuff that isn't directly said in the Cowley report. But the headline in FanSided says that LaVine wants a lucrative contract extension next summer. And that's what it says at FanSided. And it majorly cites from the Cowley article in the Sun Times, where with its headline says Zach LaVine making an all-star statement, but let me see. Okay, but will he earn big payday? Now, LaVine isn't quoted in any way of saying straight up that run me my cash, Bulls. He's not saying that straight up in any way. But the last quote in this Cowley piece is sort of revealing. He says, "I try to let my game speak for itself. I think contract negotiations will come up, and we'll see where stuff may lay. I'll let you guys assess that and put the numbers behind it put the numbers behind it on the things I've done versus my contract and other players. I think I've done well for myself, though. So this is a guy who knows he's playing his best ball. He knows now that he's an all-star. So in a sense, you got to figure that he is saying, run me my bread this summer. And if you're the Bulls, you kind of are in a position where you're like, for one, you would be paying them less than if you put them on the open market. And if you put them on if you put them on the open market, you're drastically reducing your chances of bringing them back at all. So, but I want to hear you guys' opinion. What do you think about the situation that we're projecting a bit here? We still got the second half of the season, and we got a possible playoff berth here in this season to go through still. But this is going to be an important decision for the Bulls. Do you let it play into this final season, or do you nip it in the bud this summer?
Well, I think first and foremost, Zach LaVine deserves to be paid. Really. He deserves to be paid.
Yeah.
However, he's also made mention of how important winning is to him. You just said it several minutes ago that his best team only won 31 games. So if I'm AK, if I'm Mark Eversley, I try to sell him on the fact that, hey, we may not be able to push all the bread to your table, but in doing so, we might be able to land another player that's going to secure us more victories going forward. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. That's a great way to look at it, because I would say that's a great way to look at it. It's really the best way the Bulls can look at it, and but they could say that we could max you out in 2022, but that's gonna hurt. It's gonna have the Bulls will have some money coming off the books this year, in particular Otto Porter's contract, but we want to be able to give you as much as we can give you as you deserve, definitely, and be able to also give another. I said it a couple of weeks ago, like if you want to give Zach 30 mil, you got to give him another 30 million guy to put aside him. Mm-hmm. So we want to be able to do that for you. And that's that us being able to do that is going to be critical to us becoming an Eastern Conference power in the next year or two. So that's really what the stakes are. And is a lot is going to depend on how involved and how invested Zach is to winning in Chicago, because like you said, he wants to win, period. But how much does he feel that he wants to win in Chicago? Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I agree with Drew, but at the same time, though, I think because he became an all-star in Chicago with the current staff and the current regime that's there, increases the chances that he doesn't really want to leave. Yeah. I mean, he's been open about the fact that, he loves Chicago, even though this was a team that he was traded to. He did open up over, eventually how pretty much saying, he loves the city. He loves Chicago. He loves the fan base. And the fact that he has this new regime, he has a new coaching staff, which he has openly admitted that he likes. And the fact that he's became an all-star because of this coaching staff, I think that's really going to be a good foundation for the Bulls to come back to the table and say, okay, you deserve it. Like you said, you deserve everything that you have, but we want to give you more. The only way you give us more, we can get more, is if you work with us. Because at the end of the day, Bulls ain't going nowhere unless you get another superstar. And Chicago is a market where you should be able to attract superstars, and we failed to do so, especially in free agency, for the longest. So this could be the year or the correct team and regime that can flip that can turn that leaf. You got Mark Eversley that's very connected to Nike, which I believe is a very underrated thing, considering Nike is very connected to all types of superstar talent. And you have Arturas Karnisovas, who is very connected in the European realm, but at the same time knows how to develop talent. His track record speaks for itself. You have a coach in Billy Donovan that a lot of NBA players and superstar players respect and have played for, and have openly admitted that Billy Donovan is a guy you're going to want to come and play for. And to have that already set in place, and the vote of confidence that if you go to Chicago, you basically can succeed, aka the Zach LaVine story. That's something a lot of superstars are going to be. They may not be open about it, but I know in the back of their minds they're probably going to be paying attention to, and they may talk to Zach LaVine alongside, trying to figure out what's going on in Chicago. And you never know if Zach LaVine signs that contract. That could be the ticket for the Bulls to get somebody else and bring them to the table, at least have a seat at the table. That's what we raised for and have been striving for the longest, is the lack of free agency pickups or the lack of interest per se of superstars wanting to come to a big city market like Chicago. And that can change now since we have the front office, the new regime, and the actual coaching staff with a young, talented super all-star that's trying to be turning into a superstar in Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine's only 25?
Yeah. Great time.
Great time. He's just hitting his prime. Yeah. So to have another superstar paired with that, I mean, at this point, Bulls got to go all in. They got to do whatever they got to do. Reinsdorf can't be cheap. You got to go all in.
Yes.
You got to go all in. Sign Zach LaVine to whatever deal you got to do to keep him there, because you've shown and there's proof that he is a guy that you can lean on and trust you to develop every year. And now you bring another, and he's in his prime. You bring in another superstar with that. Now you have a nice core that can be developed over time and on the brinks for at least the next 3 to 5 years, which is something that we very rarely have pretty much since the budding of Derrick Rose or the small budding of Jimmy Butler. So at this point, you can't play games. You got to go all in.
People know the players in the league know what you can do, how big it could be if you are the next team to win big in Chicago. Players know, because they know the history. They know what's going on here. They know what Chicago is about as a basketball city. But the issue has been since 1998 that that this is a cheap-ass owner here, and you have mostly conniving-ass people in the front office. But now it's turned around in April. We flushed that out. That history, the owners are the same still, but you do have a younger Reinsdorf who can butt against the more mom and pop ways of his father. We have Michael Reinsdorf is more willing to take risks and do things in a modern manner. So you have that. You have AK, who is well respected and across the league. People know that teams develop under him well, and he knows how to get talent onto a roster and build teams up. You have Eversey, like you say, Josh. He has the Nike connections. He's a wheeler and dealer. He's a good guy. People respect him and like him. So you got people who are much more willing. The players of today have to be much more willing to play under these guys than they were the Garpax. You have Donovan, who is well respected, who knows how to coach stars, and he has good offensive sets that he runs. He runs a modern style of offense, and he respects his players, and he asks them to do the things that makes them succeed on both ends of the court. You have a player who's a established all-star now, who people seem to like him, and people definitely respect his game. So, yeah, all the pieces are there to begin that movement forward to make the Bulls into finally something over a long haul that we can have, and not just, for a couple years or so. But like you say, they can't be cheap. They have to have a vision set and execute that vision, and they have to just don't be cheap about it. Don't half-ass it. Drew, you muted.
That vision needs to be zoomed out in the sense of knowing who it is you're chasing. We're looking at the Miamis, the Sixers, the Bucks, the Nets of the world. Those are the teams we're looking to compete with. We've seen the difference that Billy Donovan has made. We're competing with the Clippers, the Lakers, the Portlands, the Indianas right now, the Sixers on national television, minus some key pieces. We're competing with these teams which in my mind tells me that, like you guys have said, with another superstar, with a few more tweaks here and there, we can go from just being kind of satisfied with being able to go toe to toe with these teams to being able to beat them, not just compete.
Yeah, because that's eventually that's what you got to do. You got to beat these teams 4 out of 7 at some point. You got to, you can't just like I say, go toe to toe with them and be respectable about it. You know, you got to win. That's what we want to see. We want championships. We want to dominate again. So that's got to be the end goal. Yeah. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see what happens this summer, man. I don't know because I think if you're the Bulls, you know, you could focus on, like I said, retaining. It's sort of a similar situation to what the Bucks had with Giannis, and though unfortunately for them, they had to do it in a much condensed time, so they had to rush and maybe that helped them too with Giannis as far as making his decision. But the Bulls they're at least going to have a whole off season to make these decisions and to do these things that they're going to need to do. So you possibly could put yourself in the mix for 2021 upper tier 2021 free agent. So if you get that person this summer, maybe that influences Zach to make his decision, and you play his cards for him. Or, but if Zach is dead set on getting that max, then you're probably in a position where you're not going to be able to do anything with him until 2022. So it's going to be tough to see. But again, a lot is going to depend on how the end of this season plays out. And if you're the Bulls and say, you get to the 5 seed and you're in that 4 or 5, and you get an upset over Boston or somebody, or in the first round, then and you go in the second round and you go blow for blow with Philly or the Nets, and then you're looking like, man, all we need is that one or 1.5 more players, because we was balling against them, and if we had that 1 or 1.5 player, we could have gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals. So it depends. A lot depends on how you finish the season. If you do that, or if you get swept in the first round, or if you get bounced out of the play-in tournament, it's a different situation. But if you make some sort of unexpected run, that could make a difference. And the eyes of the league is going to be watching on them. So again, you could be making people's decision for you. Some unsatisfied player in another city could look at the Bulls and see what they do at the end of this year and be like, look, that's exactly the team I want to play for. That's what happened with the Nets. That's what happened with Durant and Kyrie. They looked at that Brooklyn team a couple years ago and they was like, look, the Brooklyn isn't anybody's pick to win the title next year, but if we team up and go to that team, they will be. And the injury happened and everything, and it took them a year, but now they're a prime pick to go to the finals this year. Just took 2 years, so it just took an extra year. But that's the type of thing that could happen if you show up and represent yourself in the right way, and you take care of the talent that you have established on the roster right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into the other selections for the right quick for the All-Star reserves. And let me get this up. Along with Zach in the East, Well, my computer's running slow. Okay. Yeah, as long as Zach in the East, you had James Harden, of course, for the Nets, Vukovic for Orlando, Julius Randle really been balling for New York. So the Knicks got a guy in the game again. Ben Simmons for Philly, and two Boston players. I think some people have had some words about that, but of course the young duo of Tatum and Brown, definitely talents that are deserving of All-Star nods. But we'll get into the, like I said, we about to get into the snubs and stuff and see about comparing guys who made it against guys who didn't. And in the West reserves, of course, you got Chris Paul, another ageless wonder out there out west, getting Suns back to respectability. Paul George, Damian Lillard, who a lot of people feel should be starting. Donovan Mitchell, another guy some people say should be starting. Rudy Gobert, Zion Williamson, and Anthony Davis, who, because of his injury situation, is making way for Devin Booker, who didn't make it as with the votes, and Chris Paul sort of bumped him in a way as well, but Booker will be playing in the game, as Davis won't be able to play at all because of his injury. So what do you guys think about those lists overall, and who's a guy, if any, who sort of surprised you that they made it?
I'm not really mad at any of these selections, man. I think that every year is pretty tough. The last few spots. One guy I was kind of surprised at was Vucevic, not necessarily because of him, but just because Sabonis was left off. Bam Adebayo had a case because he kept Miami kind of afloat while they were going through all those injuries, while Jimmy Butler was hurt. Even Jimmy's come back and played well. I don't know that he was, has played enough to have been given serious consideration for an All-Star nod. I'm not mad at him being left off. But maybe the biggest one, maybe Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton being left off the Eastern Conference All-Stars. Again, the West, I'm even less mad at. I think my biggest complaint about the Western Conference is that Lillard is not starting and Luka is.
Yeah. And that's voting, though. That's the popularity contest of it all, It's hard to see anybody beyond LeBron consistently getting more votes than Luka in the West. But yeah, it's it's a thing. Like everybody respects Lillard. Everybody knows he's a killer, and he's one of the most exciting players in the league, one of the best players in the league. So it's like, especially he's carrying a team that's doing better than Luka's team. So it's like, but that's the system is the way it is, and the All-Star game first in that way at least is about who the fans want. So fans wanted Luka more than Lillard.
Yeah.
But you talk about on the East, like I'll bring Chris into it. We texted with Chris a little earlier. He mentioned Sabonis as a guy who sticks out to him as a snub. So you talk about the big men in the East. Vucevic, definitely. You look at his numbers. He's a guy who's made it before, and he's a stellar guy. But it's I think a lot of what you get with the East is there's a lot of give and take with the players, because all those teams like between 4 and 12 are like bunched in right now. You got a bunch of like teams near 500, so it's hard to differentiate with a lot of these guys. It's like, you're talking about the best guys from all of these teams, but you talk about one guy who's leading a 14 and 16 team one guy leading a 15 and 16 team, one guy leaving a 17 and 16 team. It's like, what's the difference, you know? But it's tough to differentiate. You know, you can go to the individual numbers, but it's hard to say like who's having much more of an impact than the other guy, because you know, aside from those top three teams, you know, I mean, really, beside from those top three teams, and you looked at one of the top three teams in Milwaukee, they only get one player. So beyond those top three teams, it's surprising that you have another team outside of those who have multiple selections. You know, the Brooklyn has their 3 selections, of course. It's hard to deny them that. Philly has their 2. That's hard to deny them, and some people have argued for Tobias Harris as being worthy of a slot as well. But you know that Philly was going to get those 2 in, and you know you take away one from Milwaukee, even though they're a top 3 team, and you give it essentially to Boston, who hasn't played as well. So it's I don't know. It's a hard thing to argue. You got to really go into the you know, go into the numbers. I don't know if how much analytics are being involved with anybody, maybe in the media or fan wise, you know, maybe even with some of the coaches. But you know, like I say, I look at a lot of these guys for the most part and say, look, you could have another thing too that some people are saying too, that the rosters aren't big enough. You know, why don't you have 12? You know, you only have 10-man roster. Why don't you have 12 men get selected for at least 12 for the, you know, that's what you have in the regular season game.
For the 15.
Regular roster. You know, why not have 15? You know, there's no reason not to, you know.
Man, if everybody had 15, everybody getting paid up in this joint. That's all I know.
I guess that may be the reason there. They don't want to give them bonuses out.
Yeah, them bonuses will be mad real. But I mean, for me, I didn't see too many snubs. I think Devin Booker should have got in first dibs instead of being an injury replacement. I think he should have been there automatically because what's going on in Phoenix, you know. Do
you put him over CP3, or do you take him off, or do you put him and CP3 on automatically?
I put him and CP3 on automatically. They've done an incredible job with turning this Phoenix Suns team around, even from last year into the bubble. Since the bubble, I think they had one of the best records in the actual NBA. So
they were undefeated in the bubble.
Yeah, exactly. And Devin Booker played a huge role in that. He's playing a huge role in it now, along with Chris Paul. Yeah. So I think at least for this year, Devin Booker really should have been an automatic write-in. But at the same time, aside from that, I really didn't have any other real snubs. I mean, like you mentioned, Sabonis probably should have got in, but that, like you mentioned, Kyle, it's tough when you're dealing with teams and rankings and things of that sort. I mean, if anything, I think Disney helped out because that's how Vucevic, that's who he's playing for in Orlando, man. I think Disney might have got him a little bit of a nod since they hosting all these ESPN games. But outside of that, I mean, it's hard to argue. It's hard to argue. Lillard probably should have been a starter for sure because it's Dame Dollar. He definitely deserved more credit and respect on his name when it comes to what he brings to the table, especially with the Trailblazers since they did lose CJ McCollum and Nikola Jokic and pretty much the top 2 heavy hitters on that team to keep them afloat. You know, I think if anything, those are the really only main issues I have with it, aside from what you mentioned, maybe expanding the roster because there's just so much talent that deserves to be all-stars on a year-to-year basis. But that's also why they're all-stars. That's why it's an all-star nomination. You have to earn it, and it doesn't just come from fans; it comes from coaches and stuff as well. So, I think a thing though with the West team, and you know, you got this like you say, Josh. You pretty much should have had Booker and CP3 get voted on automatically, but they voted Davis on. They voted AD on, and by any way of measurement, AD is an all-star.
But if you have a guy that you know is injured and you know ain't gonna play in the game, then maybe you should have like a spot or two that is reserved for a guy who isn't gonna play. But you could say, look, he's recognized as an all-star, but you also, maybe you extend the roster because you're going to end up extending the roster anyway because you're going to get someone to replace him. But you shouldn't vote him in if you know he's not going to play. Just give some recognition that, I don't know how you do this exactly, but you give some recognition that, look, this guy would have made it if he was able to play, but we're voting this guy. We're putting priority with Booker, and he's actually being voted as an all-star. I don't know how you do that exactly, but
case in point, CJ McCollum, he would have definitely been an all-star.
Yeah, he probably would have. It's harder for him because he was injured so far back, but the numbers that he did have when he was injured were. And the real rough thing with him is that he's another one of those guys who year after year gets overlooked. So for him to break through, he really can't have any sort of injury in the first half. He has to play an entire first half and have lights out numbers because if he wants to break into that all-star level in the West, because there's so many good guards out there. Yeah. But again, like there's the possibility would have been there for him and for a couple others. Like I said, if you at least just have 12, if not 15 guys on the roster. But I don't see why the league as a whole would want to be cheap in that way. But they probably that probably is the reason though, like Josh says. But anyway, I think when you look at some of the guys who have been mentioned overall, I think we've gone over most of them. Drew brings up Middleton, and we brought up Sabonis to Chris. Booker, of course, he's getting on, but I think trying to think of a couple others. Anybody else who y'all think of?
Another guy who, like, speaking of advanced metrics, another guy who fits that bill is Mike Conley. Mike Conley was there, and with them having they got the best record in the league, I believe.
Yeah, they do.
So I mean, I guess you could have made a case for them to get three all-stars in. I remember when the Pistons had Rip and Rashid and Billups and what was it, Tayshaun Prince? Did they all starting five make the all-star game?
Yeah, Detroit days they did. Yeah,
they got a whole five. That's crazy to think about right now. A whole starting five. You taking up so much of the all-star roster with your starting five. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think that may have happened 04, 05 or something like that.
Boston almost did it too when they had KG, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce and those guys.
Yeah.
I want to say might have been an all-star too, maybe that year or something like that. So
yeah, I think
during that time frame. So I think they had 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm trying to pick up. I've gone across a couple of stories that listed their biggest snubs from the year. So just to make sure we don't forget anybody. But let's see, the Ringer 7 biggest snubs. They had Booker, of course, first. I guess this is before he got announced on. They mentioned Conley. Who's the writer here? Dan LaVine. Okay. They mentioned Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. How much of a snub y'all think is Butler?
I'm not putting him as too much of a snub just because he's missed so much time. Had he not missed time, he'd be right in there, I'm sure. But you got to be able to play. You got to be in games.
I don't think he cares too much. He's loving Miami right now.
He just gonna chill in Miami for the weekend, right? Bam probably is too. I'm looking at Bam's numbers: 19.6 points, 9.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists. That's real good for a center. Just under combined 2 steals and blocks. Yeah, it'd been nice to see him in it. But they got Middleton listed as well. Sabonis, DeMar. Let me look at Sabonis. Let me see. They got his numbers on here. 21.5 points, 11.6 rebounds, and 5.7 assists. Yeah, he was deserving. And Indiana just, Indiana's one of those teams that they only get so much love. Even if they would have had the game in Indiana, which they were supposed to, they only get so much love. They gotta force people to love them. Like I think Indiana's like they only get as much love as people. That they don't never get more love than they deserve. They got to force people to love their players. But
yeah,
DeMar DeRozan finishes the list on the Ringer. What do y'all think about DeRozan?
I'm more interested in where he ends up past his trade deadline.
That's the thing too. I think if he was on a different team, he may have had. Like if he was on the Lakers or something, maybe he would have had more of a better chance. But he's averaging 20 points, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds. So, those are definitely good numbers. But I think right now the San Antonio just isn't a very hot spot right now. Yeah, I'm trying to see a list that I saw. From the undefeated, I think I don't know. I ain't gonna worry about it. But yeah, like I said, it happens every year. Some of these guys we talked about have been selected before, so at least they have that going for them. It's good. It's good that they make that room is being made for first time guys such as Zach LaVine. So. We can be happy for that, and hopefully next year things shake up for some of those guys that may have deserved it this year, but then didn't get on, But yeah, I guess we got the time. We sort of gone long because we did the longer tip offs. We ain't gonna the tip offs ain't gonna be that long in the future, but I introduced that to the show this week, but let me see. I mean, we could go up to 10 anyway. There's no problem. But I kind of wanted to do like a little mock draft, see. And it's good. It's good that we just have y'all two instead of you two and Chris. Because originally, if it was going to be 4 of us, I was going to play the EJ role. I was going to have 2 of y'all decide who was going to be Kobe. Not Kobe. Who's going to be LeBron and who was going to be KD, and the third one of y'all would have been had to be Chuck because somebody just on the side talking crap. We could just have one of you be KD and one of you be LeBron, and however y'all want to flip that, and y'all want to go through the reserves and make your picks.
Sure.
Or
go through the reserves and the starters, I guess, and make your picks.
So are we doing it like they do it on TNT, where he picks his, and then we go back and forth that way?
Yeah, pretty much. Just like
do this. GM Josh is ready.
Yeah, we'll see how close we come to the actual. We'll compare the actual rosters and see how close we come to them.
Okay.
But okay. I mean, first, who's going to be who first though?
Don't matter to me, man.
I'm the old man, so I guess I'll be LeBron.
Okay, that's good. Right? Drew's gonna be LeBron, and Josh gonna be KD. Although physically, I guess physically Drew is the bigger man, but he's the bigger and taller man, so he kind of would be. I don't know, but anyway. But yeah, let's just run through the rosters right quick and see, who. And like I said, I'll record it for posterity, and then when we have our show next week, because I think they're gonna pick like on Tuesday or something on the 4th, I think, or Wednesday, or is that Wednesday? I don't know. But I think by the time we do the next show, they will pick. So we'll see how your rosters look compared to the ones that KD and LeBron actually picked. But
okay.
Yeah. First off, well, we got. I wonder how are they deciding? How are they deciding who picks first?
I think it was by the person that has the most votes, right?
Is it okay?
If so, then you know that's LeBron. So
yeah. So Drew gets to go first.
yeah.
Hey, okay. Let's go with that. Let's go with that, then. And
I'm gonna kick it off with a little reunion, man. Give me Kyrie.
Wow.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know if that's gonna happen, but that's great. I love it.
Okay.
Kyrie the first pick to Team LeBron. Okay.
I bet.
And he take him away from his teammate too. So,
hey, twofold. Yeah. Well, twofold stuff over here.
Okay. Let's go, Josh.
Give me Kawhi Leonard.
Oh.
Kawhi, okay. First pick, Kawhi for Team KD.
Okay.
All right, Drew. What was your next pick?
Give me. I might as well. Give me James. I'm taking all your teammates. Give me James.
Oh man, you raiding them.
Oh gosh. All right.
What you got, Josh?
Man, he's taking all the firepower. Damn, bro. Let's go. Let's go Bradley Beal.
Bradley Beal, okay. Showing him some love. His first start. All right. All right, Brian, what you got?
Give me Giannis.
Giannis, okay. You filling out that front court now. You got the back court set up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, KD.
Give me Joel. Give me Joel.
And beasting this year. All right.
Okay.
You definitely got your big man in the middle set up. You may have to counter that one on this pick.
I guess I got to go Jokic, man. Go ahead, give me Jokic. I'll match up.
Okay, Jokic. So you pretty much got your starting five now. There, Jokic, you, Giannis, and the Brooklyn backcourt.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what you got, KD?
Give me Dame Dollar.
Dame Dollar, you going for some more explosion? All right.
Give me Steph. I'll match your explosion.
Okay.
All right, let's go with explosion for explosion then. Give me Zach.
Whew. Okay.
Oh, Zach. Zach on Team KD.
Give me the young Chuck Barkley, man. Go ahead, give me Zion.
Zion, okay.
Okay.
Let's make sure.
I'll combat that with the Julius Randle.
Okay.
Julius, okay.
Come on, Jew.
All right. I'm gonna take Luka.
And we down. How many we down to now?
We got 8 more to go? 8 more picks?
8 more picks?
So
is that right?
8 more picks. He's got 4 more.
I think so.
All right, let me see. We got Booker, George, Gobert, Mitchell, Chris Paul on the West haven't been picked. And Simmons, Tatum, Brown, and Vucevic haven't been picked on the East. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, 8.
Okay. And I think it's on. Josh, is on you, right?
Tell me. All right.
I think so.
Well, give me D Book.
All right, D Book.
Okay. Give me. Give me. Ooh. Give me PG.
PG, okay. Down to 6. 6 more players left.
Give me Donovan Mitchell.
Okay.
Donovan Mitchell, okay.
You know, I can't let my main man stay on the board too long. Give me CP3.
CP3. Gonna be good off the bench for you.
Give me multi-diversity. Give me Ben Simmons.
Multi-diversity.
Multi-diversity.
what diversity is that? He lighter skinned, or he from Australia. That's diversity.
Aside from that, I got my point guard and my big man at 1.
Okay.
Give me the man that was holding Boston down for as long as he could before the troops came back. Give me Jaylen Brown.
All right, Jaylen Brown. Nice two-way player there.
Yep, give me Jay Tate. Give me his teammate.
All right, splitting them up. Okay.
And I'm gonna leave you with the less offensively inclined big man on the board. Give me Vucevic.
Of course, you will leave me with Gobert.
Gobert gets is picked last, man. He started all the virus stuff in the league, man. So he got to take. He still got some money this year, but he got to be last pick for the All-Star because
yeah, I mean, you know,
he coughed on those mics back in March. So he got to take his lump still, but okay, that's it. I like your picks, gentlemen. I think that was a nice first edition of the Running All-Star mock draft. So I'm gonna put those online somewhere. Put them probably on our Substack, and put those rosters up so people can see. And like I say, next week we'll compare and see how many of y'all. You know, I might have a little treat if one of y'all who hits, whose roster hits more than the other. So I'll see about that. But yeah, that'll be fun looking for next week. But yeah, I mean, where are we at now? I know we sort of universally looked at the game as not being necessary and everything, but the league is going with it, and you figure that at least on the ground level they're going to take care of the players and everything. But have your thinking changed in any way about the game as a whole in the past week or so?
Who's catering?
Who's catering? Okay,
right.
I mean, I don't think much has changed, but I do know that if you're going to have it, you better make it entertaining.
Yeah,
which means you have the right people in the right competitions to make it entertaining. I mean, we already know Zach LaVine's not doing a dunk contest, which I wish he did. I wish he did it with Zion, and I wish Zion will commit to it. But he's unsure too. So I think it's just I feel like if you're gonna do something, you might as well do it as big as you can, by making it that much more entertaining. If you can't do it, then don't do it at all.
I'm still worried about the dunk contest being at halftime, and like I just don't think that's gonna be enough time for that. But I think they're gonna have to rush through it. But like I agree with you, Josh. Like, just try to make it as official as you can, because you're doing it on the fly. I just don't. They're trying to put it together and make it beneficial to the HBCUs and everything, which is nice. But try to make some good at it that way. But squeezing everything into one day is like that's going to be kind of funny. But we'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are there any more details that's been released as far as like the actual entertainment?
Yeah, who's going to be in? I haven't heard anything. Have y'all? I haven't heard anything. Have y'all? Yeah.
I just want Lou Williams wings
and
2 Chainz to perform Money. That's all I want.
2 Chainz. Yeah.
2 Chainz got to perform Money.
I'm betting. Yeah. I'm betting they get the Migos scene, and they probably gonna bring Bobby Shmurda out, and he gonna probably he gonna throw a Knicks hat up in the air, and it's gonna not come down. It's gonna get stuck up in the State Farm. So in the State Farm Arena roof somewhere. It's like he did in the video. With them big old fake teeth that he got. Big old fake prison teeth.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I'm still reluctant to say they should be playing this game, but I'm gonna watch. It's usually enjoyable. It's been even more so with the changes that they made last year. So I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing another competitive game. Have they announced who's gonna be? The All-Stars themselves are going to be in the 3-point contest. Is that right? Like nobody outside of the All-Stars are going to be involved in the contest. Is that right?
You heard that?
I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that.
Well, I guess that probably would be the case.
Ooh, but then
maybe that'll be the case for the slam dunk. Because you're thinking about like, okay, who are we gonna bring extra players down? And involve extra players. For what's the reasoning for that? You just making the chance that you spread COVID back even greater if you involving extra players in the game. They're not doing. We know they're not doing the futures game or whatever. They're not doing that, and yeah, I don't know.
I'd really like someone to explain to me who's in the world's going to do this dunk contest out of these All-Stars.
Yeah, I was just looking at that too. That can't be right because Zion is the only one. We know LeBron ain't for it.
He's not doing it.
We say Zach ain't doing it.
Maybe Donovan Mitchell, but I don't know what kind of tricks he got in his bag.
I say let's do a big man toss up between Joel Embiid and Rudy Gobert.
Oh no, please no.
Just a one-on-one or something.
Like a one-on-one dunk contest to see how bad each person is.
Who could do the clumsiest dunk?
Right.
Yeah. We should have a Shaq to the Fool contest. Who could do the most awkward play? Who could put together the most awkward play? And have Shaq voting on it.
You got to fly Swaggy P in for that, man. And JaVale McGee.
They'll be caught his feelings. He'd be like, how I'm 1, 2, and 3.
We don't know.
I'm gonna get my mama on you, Shaq.
Right.
Oh my gosh,
man. I don't know. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. We'll see. But let's I guess let's wrap up this week's show since we got through the All-Star stuff. Uh with a quick look at the second half schedule. I gotta they put that out this week, and I got a story. I don't have the schedule. Let me try to get the Bulls schedule up. I got a story up from the Tribune, Phil Rosenthal, who got some good tidbits on like the national schedule and how the Bulls fit into that and everything. But I just want to get the regular schedule up for the Bulls first. And let's see. Get this from NBC Sports. It's interesting though. This is the first time that we've ever seen this where they've had, the schedule set up after the season starts, the remainder of the schedule. But they start off the first game coming out of the break is on Thursday, March 11th, so 2 weeks from today, against Philly. I think that may be it's not. It won't be a national game because they don't have any TNT games. God, what is this jumping up on my screen? Okay, no, I don't want the latest Bulls in my inbox. Miami's after that the next day, so back to back coming out the gate. They got Toronto. They got Oklahoma City, San Antonio. So that's going to be a little road stretch. Home stretch, I should say. 5-game home. 5-game home stretch coming out the break. The first road game is at Denver on the 19th of March. Then game stretches towards the end of March, going into April, at San Antonio, at Golden State, Phoenix, and then they got Brooklyn at home on a Sunday, April 4th. Then they have another 4-game road stretch: Indiana, Atlanta, Minnesota, and Memphis. So they don't have, after that 5-game home stretch, it don't like they have any.
Yeah, no, it definitely is a journey, and it's a process. Going back.
All right, Zach. Exactly.
It's always been hard work.
Our guest, Zach LaVine, everybody.
You can't.
I hate those pop-ups, man. I hate them.
No. Yeah, but the 5-game home stretch looks like that's the longest home stretch that they have remaining. There's a couple of 4-game road stretches. The season wraps up, so we look at these last games. They could be particularly important because you're talking about the Bulls maybe being in that 7 to 10 range for the play-in. So you're talking about positioning there, and the last 5 games are at Detroit on May 9th, Brooklyn and Toronto at home on May 11th and 13th, at Brooklyn on the 15th of May, and the day right after too. So they'll be back to back to end the season. That Sunday, May 16th at home against the Bucks. So it's 37 games in 66 days. 8 back with these remaining games. And I want to go back over again the Phil Rosenthal piece because it talks about, like I said, the national games. The Bulls got two more. They only have one national game, the recent game against the Sixers, and they got 2 more coming up after the break. The Knicks at the New York Knicks on April 28th, and The Celtics come here on May 7th. Those are both on ESPN. And that's some of the other comparisons here. Of course, you got the Lakers got a bunch of games. Clippers, Warriors, Mavs, Bucks, Celtics. All those teams have like 7 ESPN appearances on those games remaining, and the Knicks have 6 apparently, which I don't get. But I guess you get it, but you don't get it. Mm-hmm. But 5 apiece for the Clippers, Mavs, Bucks, Jazz, and Nuggets. But you're not gonna see much better ball from the Knicks than you will from the Bulls. But no, one of the games are the Bulls and Knicks playing each other. But the Pelicans, this shows you the power of Zion. They got 3 games on TNT and 4 on ESPN remaining. And the power of Luka, we said the Mavs got like 5 ESPN games, and they got another like 3 on TNT. So, the Bulls, as good as they've been playing, aren't the draw that we would like them to be yet. But we'll see if the Bulls can maybe change that around for next year with their play in the second half. But any thoughts on that stuff there for the second half?
Just it's gonna be tough, man. I feel like the second half of the schedule is gonna be a lot rougher potentially on the Bulls than this first half. You made mention of the teams they've got coming up. We still haven't played the Nets yet. Still haven't played the Jazz yet. Still got another game with some more games with the Bucks. I mean, it's going to test our mettle for sure, man. And I wonder what's going to happen in terms of trades. Is AK going to try to go after Lonzo Ball, maybe dangle Markkanen or whatever's left of him on the trade block? Be interesting to see. I think they obviously they're not a championship team right now, but a lot of the talk is about how much worth Thad Young brings to the team and what it would mean for these young guys to make it finally into the playoffs, just to be able to get that experience no matter what happens. And I think there's something to be said for them to push to get there. That doesn't mean going out and signing veterans who don't figure to be involved in any long-term plans, but just being smart about who you may trade and who you may get back in a trade, just to make the most of the progress that you've already established going into the All-Star break.
Right. When is the trade deadline? Y'all know offhand?
March 25th, I think.
It's March, end of March.
Yeah. So it'll be a couple weeks coming out of the break. Like I said, Bulls first game be 11th. That the 25th sounds good because it's usually on a Thursday. So that would be 2 weeks after the 11th. So yeah, we'll see. We'll definitely see what goes on. By as the month turns from March to April, how the rosters reset, who has that infusion of new talent, and who's sitting on what they got. Josh, you got any thoughts on the second half?
Man, I'm pretty much just gonna say that I hope Zach LaVine got a lot in the tank.
Yeah,
because you want to talk about these different 4 or 5 game road trips.
Yeah,
teams that some of them you really should be able to win, or at least be very competitive in, and others, you have your 50-50 chance. But
yeah, I'm surprised looking at it just how, because usually with the regular schedule you get the early circus trip, even though they don't have the circus no more like that, but it's labeled the circuit trip, and that's usually a time where they get loaded with tough games. Like you get the Lakers, you get Utah, you get the Golden State during that time, or some of Portland, and it's a little easier on the second half. West Coast trip is a little easier, but given the way that the teams are playing this year, it's sort of the other way around because you got, like you said, you got Utah on this backstretch, and you got Golden State, and then so it's gonna be tough. And like I said, the 8 back-to-backs are gonna be key. Like how many of those are they gonna at least split? You don't want to give up 2 games in any of those in any of those situations, really any, but definitely not more than once or twice. So, but having, like I said, it's a lot of games being bunched in a short period.
Yeah. So you may catch some teams, low managing players, but
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah,
I think Allen Iverson would love this schedule because there's no practice.
Yeah, just roll that ball out.
Practice games.
Man, he would love this. You right, man. He'd be all about
this schedule. Yeah. That's a good observation. Yeah, but we've coming up on 10 o'clock here. We got a nice little supersized show here. We just hung out and talked some stuff there. I appreciate you guys going with the tip off movement, and also you did a great job with the mock draft. So we'll see how that shakes out next week, and it's gonna be more fun going forward. We're gonna have a couple of cool shows. I think bridging the All-Star break. I could say I'll say already after the week after the break, a week after the break or the game or whatever, we'll have our old homeboy Scoop B on that Thursday, and I got a guest that I'm working on for this coming week that I think is gonna be pretty cool. I'm not gonna say yet because I haven't landed them completely yet, but either way, we're gonna have a nice show next week and wrap up the first half talk for the NBA, and probably some more stuff to talk about too on the college side because we'll be officially in March at that point. So see how Illinois continues to develop and everything. Loyola, I think they made. I think UIC actually played a conference tournament game tonight, and I think they took a L. We'll see I have to look that up. But Loyola's gonna be in the mix with the MVC, and we got of course our schools, SIU, Bradley, whatever, and the Paul gonna try to do something in the Big East,
We'll pass this year.
just pass the sticks over.
Pass the sticks over.
So y'all got it. Y'all got it. Let me make sure I mention this. And Chris isn't even here. This was actually supposed to be the week that he was going to appear on the Chase Show on ABC,
mm-hmm.
But he's updated everyone on Facebook that they pushed it back to next week.
Okay.
So I don't know if we're gonna do. I told him I wanted to do like a watch along thing. So I don't know if we're gonna do that along with the show or what, or if we could do it during. I don't know, but I want to at least watch his segment. I hope he don't go out, because I watched the show and I know you can go out when you do the initial chase segment. You get knocked out and then you don't get a chance at the money at the end. So I hope he represented better than that and he made it through the whole show. We don't know yet, but we'll see. But Chris gonna be on next week because he got to face himself next week. Don't be high side us next week on TV, Chris. But that's it though for this week, and we'll holler at y'all next week, man. More fun, more exciting round ball talk with the guys, man, as we do it always. Josh and Drew, I put them up individually so you can see the tags. There you go. That's how you can follow Drew, and that's how you can follow Josh, and you could just look me up and follow me if you want. I ain't giving you my tag.
That's
You
the boss.
put in some work.
The boss don't need no tags.
No. But yeah, that's it for now though. We're gonna head out. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy WandaVision. And I can't I want to see how it goes down. Only 2 more episodes, man. This show's getting tight, man. It's gonna be, I'm gonna have to get my sleep now, man. So I'll be up at 3 o'clock. But no, I swear I might really be up at 3 o'clock.
I'm not mad. Man. That's how I was with Snowfall last night, man. I couldn't wait, man.
Oh man, brothers love Snowfall, man. Yeah, Snowfall. There's everybody talking about Snowfall. That's what's up. Franklin Saint. But yeah, we gonna keep it moving, man. And we'll talk to y'all next week. Have a good one, and in the meantime, keep bouncing.